and welcome to this week's episode of Bonkers.ie TV, where we're all about smarter money and keeping you updated on everything that's happening in the worlds of personal finance and consumer affairs. I'm Daragh.
And I'm Robin.
And this week we're going to be talking about where to catch some of the best sporting action again, but this time for tennis, athletics and golf.
Yes, and of course last week we were talking about rugby, GAA, as well as soccer, and we got lots of questions in. So just to remind you guys that you can always send us in questions and we can answer them in our live videos, which we do every week here now at the new time of Wednesday at 12 p.m. And also you can follow us on social media and check out our blog, of course, where we have lots of detail on everything that we talk about. So the first thing that we're going to chat about in this video is where to catch all of the best tennis coming up over the next year. So Daragh, where is the place to go?
Yeah, so it's all changed really in the tennis world because Amazon Prime, which is a streaming service and I guess is Netflix's biggest competitor, has just bought the rights to the men's ATP tennis tour. So it used to be on Sky Sports at the moment, but they've lost the contract, and Sky Sports also just recently lost the rights to the US Open tennis, which we've obviously seen just in the news recently. So from 2019, from next year, 37 of the main tennis tournaments on the men's ATP tour will be shown on Amazon Prime. They'll also have the end of season ATP tour finals that come from the O2 in London, and they'll also be showing the US Open. So they've signed a 5-year deal for the US Open Grand Slam. So really, if it's men's tennis that you're looking for, you'll really need to have a subscription for Amazon Prime. Some of the smaller tournaments, so the ATP 250 tournaments as they're called, might still be shown on Sky, as well as Air Sport. They show some of the smaller tournaments. If it's women's tennis that you're after, BT Sports, which you can get through the Air Sport pack, has a deal that runs until the end of next year and will probably be renewed, that shows all of the premier women's tournaments. So if it's men's tennis, it's going to be an Amazon Prime subscription, and if it's women's tennis, an Air Sports subscription. And then just with the Grand Slams, so they're a little bit different. So the Australian Open and the French Open will be shown on Eurosport, as they have in recent years, and I think they always give really, really good coverage. You know, there's like kind of endless hours and days of coverage for the whole 2 weeks. Wimbledon, of course, will be on the BBC as it usually has, and then like I said, the US Open is going to be on Amazon Prime. So there's still a little bit of sports content from a tennis point of view, free to air if you like the Grand Slam coverage, but other than that, it's really Amazon Prime. And
Amazon Prime, you can only get that online. Can you get it on TV at all, or is it just through devices?
So it's mainly through online, so through streaming, so a little bit like Netflix. So it is free for the first 7 days if you've never signed up before, and then Irish customers can pay $2.99 a month for the first 6 months, and then it is $7.99 or $6.99, I think, after that. So yeah, so it's not hugely expensive, and of course you'll still get access to everything else that's on Amazon Prime. So all of their comedies and drama, the sports content. I suppose, you know, it's no extra price.
Okay, great. So we have a few questions that have been sent in. So our first one here is, where is it gone now? Sam in Dublin asks whether the Grand Slam is going to be part of Amazon's deal. So you just said, yeah, it will be.
Yeah, so the US Open will be, but the other ones won't. So the Australian Open and the French Open will be on Eurosport 1 and 2, and Air Sports as well will be showing some of those. Wimbledon will be on the BBC and some highlights, and a little bit of coverage will actually be on Air Sports as well. But then it's really just the US Open for now that is going to be on Amazon Prime.
Okay, so if you're having a bit of trouble trying to keep track of everything, don't forget, of course, we have a dedicated blog to this topic where you can find a list of where exactly everything's going to be shown, just in case you forget. So now we're going to move on to golf. So usually you can catch golf over on Sky. Is that still the case?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, Sky obviously have a dedicated golf channel. They rebranded their channels, I think maybe a year or two ago, from Sky Sport 1, Sky Sport 2 to Sky Golf, Sky Cricket. They have coverage of 3 of the 4 majors. They did lose coverage, though, of the US PGA Championship to 11 Sport, a new sports channel, an online streaming service recently, which is kind of a bit of a shock to the market. But really, Sky Sports is still the place to go. They've lots of coverage from the European Tour. They've lots of coverage of the US PGA Tour, and they also still have coverage of the Ryder Cup, which is taking place at the end of the month in France. Free to air, there isn't really a huge amount. RTE will still be showing coverage of the Irish Open, and yeah, that's kind of it, really. You know, really, this is probably one of the easier ones if you really, really like your golf, particularly if you want access to, you know, to most of the majors. I think Sky Sports is where you'll need to go.
Okay, and you can access that. Is it just with Sky Sports you can get I know that another great option if you're just looking for one tournament or whatever kind of thing you want to look at, you can actually sign up to Now TV, for instance, which is a great one for if you just want to dip in and out of sport.
Sure.
So you can sign up with them and get like 1 week, 1 day, 1 month, and they're all priced accordingly. So if you don't want to be tied into a long-term contract,
that's right. And you can find the same at Eurosport as well. You can just sign up maybe for just 1 month, and kind of I suppose that pay-as-you-go sport option I think is a really good option going forward, particularly as so many tournaments are now being spread across the different channels, and sometimes it might just be one tournament that you want to watch. So yeah, it's something like Now TV or a 1 month subscription to Eurosport I think is a really good idea.
Cool. Other questions that we have sent in here. So we've got Naoise from Galway asks, where is the US PGA tour? Where will it be shown next year? Because she says that it's going to be moved to May, or it's moving to May. Yeah,
so the US PGA was just shown on 11 Sport recently. So like I said, it was a bit of a shake-up to the market. It had previously been with Sky, which they lost. So Sky now has lost the men's tennis, the US Open, and also some of the golf coverage. So a lot of people think that maybe it's because they've spent so much trying to buy soccer coverage that they don't have enough money to take on some of the smaller sports. The question is, we actually don't know yet. So the rights haven't really been finalised yet. It's still a TBC to be confirmed where it'll be shown, but she's right in that it is going to be shown. It's moving to May. Now next year it's going to be the second major of the year. So 11 Sport, like I said, who just showed it, are still to confirm where it's going to be. Sky might buy it back again. I mean, you'd think they have a dedicated golf channel. They'll really want it, but it's still up in the air.
And then one more question. So we've got Jamie in Dublin asks if the Ryder Cup will be on free-to-air TV at all.
So there'll be some highlights on the BBC, but if you're looking for live action, Sky Sports is the place to go, unfortunately.
Okay. So yeah, finally we're going to move on to athletics. Is there anything free-to-air for athletics?
So a little bit. BBC tends to be good. So really the main athletics coverage that's coming up over the next 12 months or so will be the World Cross Country Championships in March, which are taking place in Denmark. And then next year in September, in Doha, of all places, there is the World Athletics Championships, which take place every 2 years. So both of those will be shown extensively, as they usually are, on Eurosport. And Eurosport also has great coverage as well of the Diamond League race meetings. So they're the premier race meets that take place throughout the year. It's just finished for this season, but it'll be starting again around next April, May. To me, I think for athletics coverage, Eurosport is a really good option. Like the tennis, the Grand Slam tennis, they give some really good in-depth coverage for hours on end, and I really like it. So for me, I think it's a really good option. Free to air, the BBC will be showing things like obviously the London Marathon, as you might expect, the Great North Run, and they'll have coverage as well of the World Athletic Championships and the World Championships, but not really as extensive as Eurosport, who literally tends to show every single event live, and then they'll show repeats and stuff. So to me, Eurosport is the place to go. Okay,
great. I think that's pretty much it for this week in terms of the sports we're going to cover. So that's Amazon Prime if you're looking for tennis, Sky if you're looking for golf, and then Eurosport is probably the place to go if you were looking for athletics. Don't forget to tune in next week to our live video at the same time again at 12 on a Wednesday, where we're going to be talking about this year's best student accounts, which banks have them and what freebies you can get, etc. Thanks for watching.
Bye.